Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to the Global Game Jam 2025 Keynote video and theme reveal. We are so excited to have everyone here watching. We have an hour of some content for you guys, and we'll be premiering the Keynote video in just a few minutes. But first, we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. My name is Jess Rowley. I am the Global Game Jam Events and Programs Manager. And we have Maria.
Hi, I'm Maria Burns-Ortiz. I am the Global Game Jam Executive Director.
And Rich.
I'm Rich Hebblewhite. I'm the Global Regional Coordinator.
And Sabrina.
Yeah, I'm Sabrina Solba. I am the Global Game Jam Board President.
Awesome. How are you guys doing today?
Very excited.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Super excited. It's been a lot of planning and pulling together all of the sites, and the kind of whirlwind of it has come together, and now we are finally here at this moment. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's just been I came on a little over 2 months ago, just hit the ground running on this, and it's just been the most exciting and thrilling adventure to be putting on all of these events and getting everything together for this jam. And I'm so excited to see what everybody creates during this. It's going to be it's just cool to see. I love the initiative. I tell everyone so much about this whenever I get really excited to tell people about what we do. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I'm sure you do.
Oh, yeah. I started as a jammer in Global Game Jam the very first year, 16 years ago, I think. And then I've been hosting. I hosted the site in Pittsburgh for a while, and then joined the global volunteer team. And the whole reason why I've stayed and done all of these volunteer roles and now on the board is that Global Game Jam is such an amazing event. It's for so many people. It's the start of getting connected to your local game dev community, start of your career, or if you're established, a chance to explore, meet new people in your community, and take some creative risks, or just do work without the pressure of its official project. And all of those perks just attract this wonderful feeling and of camaraderie and creativity, and I love it.
Yeah, I was actually talking to someone about exactly that earlier this week, just kind of why people jam, why they would want to, and exactly that, and why we have something really for everyone. This idea of, if you're starting out and you're making your first game, there's something for you. If you've been in the industry for a long time, there's an opportunity to mentor, work with other teams, give back. And also, making games is really fun. And I think sometimes for folks who've been in it as a day-to-day job, you start to focus on that piece. I've got to meet this deadline. I've got to, and the jam gives you an opportunity to step back and try something completely new and just get into that part of not having to have this deliverable or something that's perfect and ready to go, and just play with it and have fun. And that's one of the things I think is most exciting to me as we head into this week.
Yeah, for me, it's the people, the connections, the fountain of crazy creativity, experimentation, that the content just gets generated in that short period of time. I started 13 years ago, I think now, as a jammer originally as well, and then kind of moved up from there at various shapes and sizes. And for us, it's always been one of the marquee events on our calendar every year for as long as I can remember now, and everybody looks forward to it. It ties into people's assessments and things like that. And that's not just consistent for me and my university and the academic experiences. Folks all around the world do the same thing. GGJ is a big deal for a lot of people. These days, in my current role, it's a long old journey. It starts in the summer, talking to all the guys around the world, and before you know it, you blink and woof, the jam week is here, and it's crazy. So I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah, I mean,
what does the global regional organizer coordinator do?
What does he do?
Yeah, what do you do? Because
I don't see it starts. The journey starts a long time before what folks think about signing up for sites, because basically the Global Game Jam, Global Regional Coordinator, first of all has to figure out which countries belong in which kind of regions, and making sure everything is where it should be, and we have matches made in heaven, so to speak, or as close as we can get it. And then from there, of course, we can't process people's sites unless we have regional organizers in place. So the primary goal of my role initially is to reach out and recruit, manage, train, and get all the folks in place in all the different parts of the world, so we have a team that's ready to begin the process of working on all the site applications. And at the same time, you've got all the other folks on the team who are busy working on the jam site technology, all the planning and logistics and finance and sponsorship. There's a whole range of things. And so while I'm busy working with the people at the grassroots level and managing that, then all the other folks are kind of working at the same time towards the other goals. And yeah, there's a lot of work that goes on, I think people perhaps don't really realize. It's not just the jam, there's a huge pile of things that goes on behind that as well.
That's been the fun part, though, for me since coming in. So I came in and I'm the executive director since May, but just seeing all of the different moving pieces and parts, and both at the organizational level, but then also kind of as we look at all the volunteers, all of the sites, I think sometimes people don't realize that we are largely a volunteer run organization, from our executive committee to our regional organizers to the site organizers, right? And all of the people that are really passionately committed to helping us pull this off. Because, you know, I think Jess and I both, being our first year going through this, came in and we're like, there's how many sites, and it's going to get done, and it's going to come together how? And here we are. It really does. And so that's been really amazing just to see the passion, like you said, that the community brings to the event. And I think that's what makes it really special.
Yeah, I think we're hovering around 870 sites in and around that number. So that's a huge number of locations all around. And if you imagine how many thousands of people that are going to be and have been and will be involved now in this week and the coming week, it's a tremendous amount of community spirit. And that's the great thing about Global Game Jam.
Yeah, and I love the idea that everywhere around the world people are making games at the same time. And I know, like, it's a little bit staggered, but no matter where you are and exactly when your 48 hours are for the jam, this is a week where people are thinking about making games and experimenting, and we're kind of united in that like artistic creativity. I love that.
Yeah, I think it's really humbling to just know that there's just so much going on around the world at the same time with a hobby or a career path or creative endeavor, what have you. Everyone's doing it at the same time, which is really, I don't know where else you would get that kind of experience, and something that's in such a positive direction, which I think we all need. I mean, it's great to know that we're all taking a break from our outside everyday lives, and coming together with a community and meeting new people and experimenting and trying new things. And there's just so much good that comes out of it. It's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I think the diversity, when we talk about just not only countries all over the world, but sites, right? Like we have some sites that are, have 5, 10 people. We have sites that have hundreds of people. And I think there's something really to be said about that, is there's not this one size fits all approach to creating games or having jams and really bringing everyone together. I think that's really an essential part of what we do, because sometimes people say, oh, we don't know if we have enough people to have a jam or these things, or we're a smaller site. And the thing is, it starts somewhere, right? Like you start creating community because you bring people together, and then you're able to build that, and we're able to be part of supporting that. And I think that's a big part of it too, as far as what we do when we talk about building community and how we're building community, is just bringing people together and giving that opportunity to come together and make games wherever you are, however many people you are. That's a really fun part of what we get to do too, I think.
Yeah, and that really shines through our network of volunteers, because a lot of people will start out running their local site and then maybe they'll join as a regional organizer. And we have this set up where the regional organizers train the new site organizers, so they talk to everybody in their region. So we get this thread of community, of real interaction between the humans making games and regions. And I think that's really powerful for the overall game dev community in different regions, especially where that industry is just starting to blossom. So I think that's some of the power of GGJ.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say that the jam is the fuel that powers the industry engine. And what you just said, Sabrina, very eloquently, it describes that very much so, right? Because the Jam inspires folks. If you want to grow your industry, you want to get more people to buy your games in whatever region, well, you want things like the Jam to take place in that region, because that is exactly what it does. It trains and inspires, developers of the future. So if we want the industry to continue to exist in the future, we need the Jam. We need people to jam, and we need to grow communities and show and demonstrate that, yes, the Jam may look like it's a kind of a fun thing that you just kind of do it as a hobby and then you go home. You know what? It's the Kickstarter to a potential career. And, get in there, get going and do it. Just do it. Enough said.
Yeah.
Drop mic.
Stream over. Yeah. Well, do you all think that we should show the video?
I don't know if the chat is excited enough for this.
I don't know if they are.
Theme reveal.
I already dropped the mic though. What?
Nothing else needs to be said. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure.
Before we jump to the keynote, can I talk a minute about the theme?
Yeah,
like just the idea of a theme for Global Game Jam. Because it used to be totally top secret the whole time until 5 o'clock your time locally. And then with the coming of the pandemic and the change to allowing online sites and really like becoming more flexible, we opened it up a little bit. And so we do this global theme reveal, and it's like awesome to be able to do it globally. But at the same time, there are still people who hold back and wait till 5 o'clock their time, the main Friday of the Jam, to learn the theme, to keep themselves fresh. So we don't like go full throttle publishing it even after this, to try to keep, for those who want to maintain that mystery and that like immediate creativity of hearing it for the first time right before you start jamming. So we're trying to walk that line of like sharing this global moment for anybody who's interested in knowing it ahead of time, and then also protecting that idea of like being fresh with the theme idea. So I love that we can do this balance and in between, but that's why we do. I just wanted to share a little bit of that history. I'm not sure if like the newer folks who've come in are aware of how secret the theme used to be until right before you started jamming.
Yeah, and just to impress upon everybody who is watching, please respect the people who do want to keep it a secret. We won't be posting the theme until Saturday, this coming Saturday, just because we want to make sure that people who want to keep it a secret until they start jamming are respected, and that they can have that camaraderie and reveal at their jam sites. So we love that you all want to be here to see what the theme is, but also just remember that there's plenty of people out there who do want to keep it a secret. So it's kind of the fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the fun part. There's some folks who are like, as come, they're like, I don't want to know, don't, and I think that's a fun part of it is, however people want to know, if they want to know and jump in now. Obviously, all of you who are watching, especially the stream, are in that bunch. And then, the folks who will get the surprise when they get there. I think that's kind of, there's no hard and fast ways to do the jam, right? And so I think that's just part of that fluidity that we're trying to give folks out there. But we won't be posting anything on social in terms of here's what the theme is until Saturday, but you're here, so you get to know.
Yeah.
All right. We move into it.
I like the build up so much.
Even I'm like, wait, I'm so excited.
Knowing that I just
the comments are about to explode. The comments are literally exploding.
Yeah, knowing I have the power to just press the button and have it be out there in the world there's a lot of power behind it, and it's also very nerve-wracking, and I like people are definitely getting much more excited in the comments. You guys are all, I can't even keep track of everything that you all are saying. It's pretty.
We are seeing the whole keynote video too before the theme reveal is towards the end of the keynote video. So buckle up, everyone. But it's a short. It's 10 minutes.
We took your feedback, we heard you, and we have made it a shorter video this year. So for anyone who has made comment about a longer video, we promise it's under 10 minutes this year. We managed to do that. It was a Herculean effort because there is also so much that we want to present in that keynote video because we know it's important. But I guess
Let's go. Push the button, Jess. Push the button.
Go.
Oh, I don't know.
Now you're just teasing.
I know. Just being. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of us on mute and then I will play the video. Okay?
All right.
Hello, I'm Susanna Pollack, President of Games for Change, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the 2025 Global Game Jam. Whether this is your first jam or your 10th, you are now part of a worldwide community of creators using games to spark innovation and change. What excites me most about these game jams is seeing creators like you bringing fresh perspectives to game design and play. Over the next 48 hours, you'll learn new skills, push through creative challenges, and hopefully make a few friends along the way. Remember, some of the most impactful games started as simple prototypes at game jams just like this. And sometimes the most unexpected solutions come from working within limits. But before you kick off the jam, I have some exciting news. University-age students can now submit their work to the annual Games for Change Student Challenge for the first time in its 10-year history. We are thrilled to be able to offer entry to the competition to 18 to 25-year-olds. This expansion allows even more young people to get involved in our community and to creatively address real-world issues through game design. You'll learn all about the Student Challenge themes, how to submit your games and awards and prizes during this jam. We can't wait to see what you create. Good luck, have fun, and happy jamming.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 2025 Global Game Jam. My name is Berkeley Agnes, the Chief Marketing and Growth Officer here at Exola, and we are humbled and honored to sponsor this year's Global Game Jam. We believe in providing equal opportunity and access to everyone around the world. It doesn't matter what type of game you have, where you're located, how big your company is, to provide unique opportunities like this so you can create something magical, something amazing, and then deliver it to your players and fans around the world. Good luck today, have fun, and enjoy the game.
Welcome to the 2025 Global Game Jam. I'm Maria Burns-Ortiz, Executive Director of Global Game Jam, the world's largest game jam, where we bring together jammers from all levels and all around the world to not only build games, but build community. GGJ is more than just the 48-hour whirlwind of the next few days. It's where people create their first games and make connections that lead to jobs or publishing deals. It's where they learn new skills and make lifelong friends, building out local game industries and ecosystems and connecting all of us from across the globe through the universal language of games. I want to thank everyone who makes GGJ possible, our amazing staff, sponsors, board, executive committee, the volunteer regional organizers and site organizers for their tireless efforts in coordinating the sites you're all jamming from today, and you, the jammers, without whom this event would not exist. We can't wait to see the games you create.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jess Rowley, the Events and Program Manager for Global Game Jam. Game Jams are an amazing combination of creativity, community, growth, and fun. It's a time to share your ideas, meet new people, and take part in a worldwide initiative to create new games. I just want to take a moment and thank everyone who's worked so hard behind the scenes to make this year happen. From the board and the staff, the committees, the sponsors, the countless volunteers who come together to make this an incredible experience for you all. I can't wait to see what you all create, hear your jam stories, and I hope you all have an amazing GGJ25.
Hi, my name is Hugo Obi. I'm the founder of Malio Games, a mobile games development studio based in Lagos, Nigeria. It is an honor for me to present the keynote address for the 2025 Global Game Jam. Every year, creators from around the world get together to create amazing games during this time-boxed event. It's always an incredible experience to bring new ideas to life, especially one that is interactive, giving users control of the outcomes. The Global Game Jam is an excellent way to kickstart a new year. Whether you're a seasoned jammer or this is your first time participating in an event like this, connecting with a community of like-minded individuals, exploring new concepts, and implementing creative solutions is truly satisfying. This is what I love most about the games industry. A truly global platform where creators like us can apply ourselves to create amazing experiences for users around the world. As you start to think through your ideas, I want you to consider a couple of things. Be open-minded. Leverage this opportunity to learn something new. Connect with people far and near. People from all walks of life participate in this event. Build new connections and collaborate with others. Be your authentic self. You have a unique perspective, and apply that as you create your games. I want to wrap by sharing this quote. Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the willingness to continue that counts. This is a mantra that I subscribe to, and I want you to consider it as you continue your journey of making games. Don't be defined by the successes or failures you encounter along the way, but rather by the determination and willingness to continue creating amazing experiences. I wish you the best in this year's event, and I hope that you discover new ways to continue to bring amazing games for the enjoyment of people around the world. Oh, and don't forget to have fun. Thank you very much.
As the daylight is dawning, they come again in the morning. I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air.
It's out there in the world.
I love that video. I could listen to like the Bubble song all the time.
Yeah, no, it definitely gets stuck in that gets stuck in my head now after watching.
Exactly.
I think my favorite part of the theme reveals has been those teaser videos. I just love oh, I think I know what it is. Oh, that's the next clip, the next sound effect. I think is it? Oh, it is. I like that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to check what people are saying in the comments, and I think people are really liking Bubble, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
There's just so much you can do with just that phrase. I mean, it brings a lot of ideas to my head immediately that are so different. It's not just, I mean, I go in a bunch of different directions on what you can do. So it's, I personally think it's really inspiring.
I think the best themes are always the most simple, clean, simple, and then it opens up many possibilities. I think the danger is with a theme, if you go too far, you add too much, you actually have the opposite effect, and you narrow people's creative endeavors. So clean and simple is the best way, and it's a great thing. Sure, I love it.
That was the goal, is to come up with something. I know when you were working with, when we had the theme committee, to come up with something that could be really open to interpretation, right? That would not end up with 10,000 games that were very similar, but whatever it could be. I think the fun part of some of the themes is seeing the diverse interpretations of a word. You're like, I would not have thought of that with the theme, but now that makes so much sense. And really, I think that's the great part of having a theme like this, is you can take it in so many different directions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's silly, serious. I'm excited to see what people come up with.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, in addition to the theme, we also have the diversifiers, and we have a ton of amazing diversifiers, both with our sponsors as well as the diversifier committee that came up with a lot of different options for how you can add constraints to your game in addition to the theme. Maria, do you want to talk a little bit about the Games for Change?
Yeah. So I know it was mentioned in the keynote a little bit, but this year we're actually doing 2 initiatives that will kind of kick off alongside the jam and run longer if folks want to. And this came back from feedback that we had gotten in talking to folks about how can Global Game Jam better serve our community of jammers, right? And so a lot of folks, something come up is, you build your jam project, your game, you get it done, you've got the game in 48 hours, and then there's this level of excitement and enthusiasm, but then what to do next, right? And everyone, it's kind of like, we're going to keep in touch, like summer camp when you're younger. If it's like, we'll keep in touch, and then no one sees each other until next year, right? And so ways that we as an organization could continue to support that and build that out. So how we've kind of come up with this. So Games for Change has a student challenge that they've done for youth in middle and high school, or the equivalent around the world. This year they're expanding to be a university challenge, and so we're actually serving as the GM partner for that. So we will have diversifiers around 3 of their topics. People can try those diversifiers in their games, and if they want to, we'll have continuing ongoing stuff from mentoring, workshops, different things to help them take their jam games and polish them up, and maybe be able to submit them down the road in April to the Games for Change Student Challenge. We also have Control Alt Disinfo, which is a 27-country initiative. We're working around making games around disinformation and doing similar projects like that, supporting games that are built in the jam that are not competitive, and then having other opportunities to continue to develop that, us support that work, and then be able to submit those games so that they can just kind of carry on from being a jam game to maybe something a little bit more developed if people want to. And that's the great thing that I really always want to be pushing to, is you don't have to, right? It's just, if you want to come and jam and come back next year, that is phenomenal as well. We've just been hearing from people about, hey, is there ways that we could continue to be involved, to continue to build out these games that we've started at the jam, and us as an organization want to support that as well. And so that's what these 2 initiatives are about, ways that we can take the excitement that everyone comes into the jam with and leaves the jam with, although also leaving a little bit exhausted, and then be able to carry that on and continue to create there.
Yeah, and there are diversifiers for that tie into the Games for Change and the Control Disinfo, and I think they're really great. Our headline partner diversifiers this year, I think, are really great. For anybody who's watching, who's like, diversifiers theme, what is this stuff? So, because actually, even people who've been longtime Global Game Jam participants sometimes say to me, "Oh, I don't never use the diversifiers. I don't know what they are." So the theme is global, and everybody is like, that's meant to be the inspiration for everybody in some way for the game experience. The diversifiers are completely optional, and there's a lot of them. I think there's 20 or 25 or 30 every year, and they come in different shades and stripes of different topics. We have some that come from our partners, the people who the companies and organizations who are supporting Global Game Jam and helping us to make it happen. We also have diversifiers that are topical, like art, code, accessibility, and they are things that you can apply to your games, like optional constraints that you can adopt as a team, either to help guide like what you're doing or as a way to sort of make what you're doing. I think there's a word described as spicier. Make your game a little spicier, opt into like a very specific art theme or really specific control input scheme. And they're also a great way to explore the games after the jam is over, because you can mark up to 4 of them as implemented by your game when you upload your game project. And then when people are exploring the games after the jam on the Global Game Jam website, they can choose the diversifier and look at all the games that implemented that diversifier. So it's a way to kind of map out parts of what gets submitted for the jam. And they're just, I think one of the best ways to use them is when you're brainstorming, especially if you're like stuck or you have lots of different ideas, is to read through them and just let them. Sometimes you read one, you're like, oh, now I have like a vision that sort of sparked something in me. So as little creativity sparks, I think they're super useful for that as a jammer.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's usually a couple of good ones on accessibility issues and things like that as well. So a whole range of things. And it's important to mention that if you are planning on entering some of the Games for Change or Control and Disinfo competitions and programs, that you need to make sure that you nominate the correct diversifiers that are linked with those. So check out the diversifier list. I think Taja has actually been posting the link to those diversifiers as we've been speaking. So that's awesome. So follow that, and you can have a read of what they are and check those out.
Yeah, there's some really great ones. I think some of my the sponsors, like I said, the partnership ones are really good this year. I'm intrigued by the game played via email. I'm definitely intrigued by that, and the crafty. So their gameplay via emails. You've got mail, and I also always love to read the names. But crafty, your game incorporates physical arts and crafts like knitting, sculpture, quilling, embroidery, wood carving. Oh yes, I'm here for that. I want to see games like that. Time is a flat circle. The ending of your game seamlessly merges back to the beginning. There's a lot of really great ones in here, so you should definitely take a look and be inspired.
Yeah, there's a good liminal one in there as well. So if you're into backrooms type games and things like that, there's an opportunity to have a go at that, which is going to be great.
I really like the herding cats one, herding HERDING, where the player controls 4 more characters. Like that just, to me, is just absolute chaos. And as someone who has played a lot of Overcooked in my time, chaos in games is so much fun.
That's a really good diversifier. I love it even more because it's a metaphor for my life. So it's
because you're a parent, or because you're a university instructor, or what?
Because
coordinator,
I'm a global regional coordinator for Global Game Jam.
Every facet of his life is hurting.
Just
That's
all of
the
the
game. It's actually a game implementation of being the regional organizer coordinator.
Yeah.
It's just a POV of Rich's life.
It's not pretty. It's not pretty, folks.
It's herding cats in a liminal space.
I'll also throw a shout out to our volunteers. So, like, Rich has talked about the regional organizer team who trains the SOs, but we also the diversifiers and the theme and the translations the keynote video, like all that stuff's organized, obviously by Jess and Marie, and our staff, Tarja and Zane, are part of that. But also we have an amazing community of volunteers who help with that. And so if anybody watching is interested in getting more involved with Global Game Jam, this will be a double plug. After the jam, there's a survey that gets sent out that we love for people to fill out because it gives us direct feedback on how the jam went for you, which is great for us. It's great for our partners who help to fund the jam. But then also there's a place in there for you to say, oh, I'm interested in these parts of maybe getting more involved with Global Game Jam, like being on one of the committees or being a regional organizer. And so we do go pull back from anybody who puts their name in for that. And usually like late summer, we might be reaching out to those folks and asking if they've got the time and the interest to join for next year's Global Game Jam. So if you're intrigued by how all this stuff gets done behind the scenes and you're interested in being part of it, I suggest you take a look at the survey that gets sent out afterwards and definitely fill that out.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing too. A lot of times people say, like, how does the theme get picked? And actually it's not done by us as staff or, we have a committee that comes together, a theme committee of volunteers who have been involved with GGJ over the years and really feel strongly to kind of come together and come up with a theme or, a number of possible themes that will work for the jam. And I think that, people sometimes think that, how does this come together? And yeah, we have an incredibly great group of volunteers that come up with the theme idea, making sure that it'll be something that translates well, that works globally, that is open to the interpretation that we talked about. And similar with the diversifiers, folks, jammers like yourselves, submit those and give us really incredible creative ideas. And then we have another committee of, again, all volunteers that come together and actually come up with that list that's submitted to the list you will see this week.
It goes through several stages as well, right? It's not a 2-minute process. It's quite lengthy and it involves a lot of people's time and effort. So, without that time and effort and commitment that lots of folks around the world show every year, we just wouldn't be where we are, frankly. And I have to shout out to all the regional organizers who have been superhuman every year. This year especially, we recruited a bunch of new guys as well this year. We said goodbye to some folks who've been with us for quite some time. We've moved on to new opportunities, and everyone's been brilliant this year. So yeah, a big personal thank you from me for all the hard work that you guys have done, because we would be nowhere without you. So it's a really important thing that you do. So thank you.
And Rich, we're doing, we've talked a little bit about the G4C University Student Challenge. We talked about Diversifiers. Can you talk a little bit about GGJ Next? It's under the many cats that you are herding. I know that's another one of them.
It's more of a tiger, this one. It's kind of bigger and stripier. Yeah. So GGJ Global Game Jam Next. It's been around for more than a few years now, actually. And if you've not heard of it before, it is the segment part of Global Game Jam that caters for sort of middle school, high school level, that sort of ages 10 through to 16 to 8 or 18, with a little bit of flexibility at either end. We have a brilliant community of people around the globe, actually, who have been massively supportive of Global Game Jam Next since the very beginning. And when it first started out a few years back, it used to run in the summertime, and it took a slightly different form. And in more recent years, we elected to kind of streamline everything and put it together. So GGJ can really benefit from the huge initiative and the impetus and the community that we already have with the existing jam. So it kind of made sense to partner those things together. So Global Game Jam Next, really, then, if you're interested or you work with youth, younger folks at those age range, middle school, high school, then there is a place for you in the jam. And you know what? One of the things that I talk about quite a lot with respect to GGJN is accessibility and preaching from the good book of jam in terms of how easy it is to do and how fun and how rewarding it is, and not to be put off by this big, huge event that takes place every year, because it sounds kind of scary, and to take the plunge, if you like, and commit to being a site organizer sounds really scary, but we have this huge community of people that are super helpful. That's in addition to the army of folks that we have that help plan and run our jam every year. So Global Game Jam Next is vitally important because, again, those are the jammers of the future, the site organizer of the future, the industry of the future. So it's good to get those guys in as early as we possibly can. And every year we have a huge bunch of people involved in high schools and youth centers and all manner of different locations around the world. And our mission is to continue to grow this. So if that sounds like something that you'd like to do, then you should definitely get involved and reach out to us, because we're super keen to continue to grow the Global Game Jam Next community. It's one of my missions, really, to keep that growing.
Yeah, it's super important. I mean, they are the next generation. We want to make sure that they're set up, that they are helped and assisted and showed all of the amazing things that you can do, so they can continue the legacy of game development and show that it's possible. I wish that I knew that it was as possible when I was a kid. Like, it just the idea that you could work in video games, to me, just felt so abstract when I was younger, that I was like, oh, somebody actually made this game that I'm playing on my computer, and never really like connected the dots until it was much later. But there's so many different ways that you can start kids so much younger, and getting them, if you start them now at 12, 13, they're going to be insanely talented by the time that they are in the workforce.
I think one of the barriers is that folks tend to think that you need to be a talented game developer to even be a site organizer, to even think about being involved. And that's just not the case. Yes, it's great if you are and you have those skills, but actually, it's not a requirement. It's really important to remember that you don't have to make a digital game, and that counts. That moves across to the normal game jam as well, right? You can make board games, you can make hardware projects. There's a whole range of different things you can do as part of Global Game Jam, and it's really important to remember that. So for the younger audience coming through, the ability to work on board games and just think about rules and think about how you play, what constitutes play, and the magic circle, if we're going to get super researchy about it all, and all these things is just a really great way of entering in. So if you're involved at high school or youth and community projects, then you don't need to be a games programmer to be involved in Global Game Jam. You don't need to be a Da Vinci-esque artist. You don't need any of those things. What you do need is just passion for the subject and for the learning, and that's really all you need to get involved. And Global Game Jam, of course, and then put those two things together, and then that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, just like to add on to that, I think making games is a wonderful experience for anybody, especially our young people, because it involves diverse teams with different disciplines, have different skill sets coming together, create a creative vision, and it involves trying to get bring an audience in directly and indirectly. And so you really have to think about who you're making the game for, and you have to do a lot of testing, not only of does it function, but does it actually create the experience. And I think those skills of play testing whatever it is you're making and working with people of different backgrounds to build something bigger than you can make by yourself by combining different disciplines. These are not just game skills. These are life skills that we need in today's world. And so I think it doesn't matter if you make a digital game, like Rich was saying, or you make an analog game. And we have plenty of people who create board games and then upload print and play versions during the jam. It's really about, making that experience together and collaborating.
Yeah, we've had people build arcade machines and then get other people's games on their arcade machines. So that's kind of what they did at the jam before. I remember it was the year that the theme was the sound of a beating heart. So I think that was maybe 2014 or around that time. One of the groups at our site that day made a game about Welsh love spoons. So I don't know if you know anything about Wales, which is where I'm based in the UK. Wales as a country, we have a tradition of giving away these crafted spoons that with different types of hearts and stuff on them. So it's kind of a tradition of our country. So somebody made a game about love and romance and stuff like that, because it's traditional that you give one to your significant other, you know. And it was a really fun game. It was a board game, but you had to construct these like complicated wood carved spoons, for example. So just a totally abstract concept that came from the sound of a beating heart. So a great example of, you know, how the theme can just lead to these totally abstract and crazy and fun and meaningful ideas. So yeah.
And there have been some really notable games that have come out of Global Game Jam too from these themes. I mean, in that same year, I didn't realize this.
Surgeon Simulator.
Yeah, there's also Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time I believe came from the year of the Sound of the Heartbeat, and I've played that game a number of years ago, not really having any idea that it even came from Global Game Jam. And I think that that's one of the coolest things is these games are not just games that you make in 48 hours. They can really turn into projects that can be long-term teams. You can create studios out of them. It's really a jumping off point for a lot of people.
I'm just keeping an eye on some of the comments. Somebody just mentioned that they teach young adults and kids, and one thing I would say that there are many examples of Global Game Jam Next sites that are run by folks who typically run after-school clubs, for example. That's a kind of key demographic. You don't need to work out of school per se. You could be one of these folks that runs these after-school initiatives. So that would fit right into the kind of people that we work with Global Game Jam. And I saw another comment that was asking about how much time would you need to commit if you wanted to volunteer with Global Game Jam? And I guess the quick answer to that would be it depends on what you're volunteering for. So if you were to be onboarded as part of my team, if you like, with the regional organizers, that requires significantly more time than some of the other roles, because it's kind of an ongoing thing. So you'd be helping out with all of the applications for sites that come in that region. So that takes a little bit of time to do that. Certainly sort of 3 to 5 hours a week for a reasonable period of time whilst we go through that process. But of course, there are other committees and things that we have that we're involved, which require less time and a little bit shorter tenure as well, because they take place over a more rapid period of time. And there's lots of different opportunities, but I thought I'd just jump in and answer that because I've spotted a couple of questions popping up as we've been chatting.
Okay. Thank you. Wow. I hope everyone's really excited.
I loved our keynote speaker's message too, Hugo's message, especially the part about don't let failure isn't, I think he said fatal. It's not the end. And I honestly, in Pittsburgh, I think they still do it. We have a tradition of giving, and this is inspired by a local university program, giving what we call the First Penguin Award, which is an award that's given for somebody who takes a spectacular risk that may or may not work. Like it absolutely could end in utter failure, but that's not the point. The point is to take a risk and try something that you don't know how it's going to work out. And I think that like embracement of failure, that sort of accepting that failure is not the end, it is part of the journey for especially creative works or these sort of the kind of experimental stuff you might do in a jam. I think that's a really healthy perspective. And I love that he highlighted that during his keynote.
Yeah.
There's another site organizer I was talking to who said the same thing. They said, we talk a lot about the number of games that were made and uploaded and all that, but sometimes the real success stories come out of the failures that never, that failures in quotes, they didn't get a game uploaded, it didn't come together, but they learned something and became better developers or designers or game creators, or just grew their network of people right from that. And that is also a success. And so sometimes we look at through the lens of like, what is success and because it's not a competitive jam, you don't have to feel like, oh, it was a failure. It was a great success because I came away with all these things.
Yes,
yeah,
that's such an important part of the GGJ ethos. Is it's not about winning. We're not in competition with one another. You're not trying to out dev the teams next to you at your site. This is about everybody, coming together to like be creative together.
I think it's worth mentioning that the entire concept of the jam is a worthwhile experience. In addition to the great stuff you just said about the definition of success and learning how to focus on the right things and have the right mentality, but it's also a great opportunity to experience almost, maybe not quite, but almost the entire production process, right, in like 48 hours. So how many opportunities in life do you get to come together in a creative team or individually, even if you want to do that, and then work hardcore on something for a really short condensed period of time, complete that project, submit it, and then walk away and do something else? I mean, you just don't get those opportunities very often. So jamming it's a skill set. It's we all talk about the crunch, the dreaded C word that pops up in industry, and jams are a great way to learn how not to crunch, because it teaches you how to plan things. You have a really short amount of time, and you're not going to be able to make the latest Witcher game, or you're not going to make Call of Duty in like 48 hours by yourself, right? I mean, I don't know how to do art, I don't know how to do code, but hey, I'm going to make a AAA game in 48 hours. And
you never know.
You never know.
I know.
And those teams didn't make their games in 48 hours with a handful of people, and so
A few people, yeah.
But it could be the start of one, is what we are all
But it could become that, right? That's the great thing is a game coming out of a jam, coming out of Global Game Jam, has the potential then to we're that starting point, that launch point, that ability to kind of take that and do whatever you want with it, kind of like the theme. Whatever you want to do with it, run with it that way.
And it is such a great way if you're coming into it as you're like, I'm an artist, but I don't want to do any art for this jam. I want to focus solely on building my audio skills. You can really get those cross comparable disciplines to make you, a more of a generalist, if that's something that you're interested in doing as well.
Or try new tools, right? Often, like when you're working with something, you don't necessarily, if it's your job or even if it's your your courses or whatever, you don't necessarily have the opportunity to say, I think we should use a completely different platform today, right? But this is the opportunity to try out these things that maybe you've been wanting to try out, but you haven't gotten around to just because you didn't have the time or you didn't set aside the time to do that. And so now, try. That's what we were talking about. I was on a call with site organizers, and it was try something new, try to meet new people, try a new tool, try a new approach to it. That's what you get to do with the jam, is try something different, or do it exactly the way you always want to too. Either way, there's no rules.
Just whatever you do, try and get some sleep, for the love of God. Don't try and stay awake for like 4 days, because
make sure you drink water.
It may sound like, yes, drink water, hydrate with water, not other substances that may make you feel better at first, but then will drop you off a cliff further down the line. Trust me, I've been there. So,
are you talking about seltzer water?
Maybe some tea.
Somewhere on the deepest bowels of my machine, I have an image of me lying amongst some trash bags with a picture saying "We'll dance for Game Code" on it, and I'm just all like disheveled and half asleep and looking a little bit grim. And that's what can happen to you if you don't plan your time effectively. So you have to, this is advice really for people that have maybe never jammed before. If you're just about to do so, and the site you're going to be attending is a full kind of 24-hour open site, then you need to take rest time, because you will benefit from it. If you don't, you will crash and you will burn. So take it easy.
Sleep is definitely part of the work process. And it also helps your team stay positive and on good terms with one another. Nobody wants, if everybody's sleep deprived and nobody's stayed hydrated or fed themselves, then you get a lot of hangry people, because Saturday night to Sunday morning is often the time when it's like, oh, something just isn't working. And hopefully it gets to be working by Sunday morning, or by the last quarter of the jam. But usually that middle area, it's like you've got the basics working, but there's some piece of it that's still taking a lot of effort. And if you haven't slept, especially that first night, I always suggest to jammers, figure out what your idea and direction is, and kind of what you might build first the first night. and then get to a good stopping place. Gold spike test everything so that you know that your stuff works and everybody can connect to the source control or run the project, but then go home and get some sleep and start really fresh the next day, because that middle portion is where it gets, you're really in the trenches of the work, and you need to be energized for that. If you stay up all night the first night, then it's really hard to make it to the end in good spirits, because you're exhausted and your brain hasn't had chance to sort of synthesize and decompress, while you're sleeping.
You can always
And you
spot
never
the
know what
guys
kind
that
of
have
good ideas
failed.
will come. Yeah.
Sorry?
I was going to say, you never know what kind of good ideas will come from taking
Exactly.
a rest and sleep and everything like that. Something that was, a mechanic that might not have been working before all of a sudden clicks. And you're like, oh, if I hadn't taken that nap, I never would have figured that out.
If you take a look around on any site that opens for 24 hours on like kind of Saturday afternoon, you will see all of the people that have failed to follow that advice, because most of them will be unconscious. They'll be curled up in the corner with a sleeping bag or whatever, and they'll be having crashed, and because they thought, I'll just stay awake for like the first day and a half, 2 days, and they just can't do it. It happens to all of us when you first attend the job. But if you want to get the best out of it, it's better to take some time, because you need to rest.
And it's hard when you're excited too, because it's like you're like, I want to stay up, and you have so much energy at the beginning of it. Just like any event, you're just like, I'm here and I'm ready to like create, and then it goes.
And you've drank 17 cans of like energy drink, and you're kind of super amped.
Yeah,
if you run it on pizza power. Yeah.
If you manage to get Celsius to be your sponsor for the year.
The sad thing is, I can't actually drink energy drinks. They don't agree with me. So for the most part, So sadly, I can't experience the joys of
I think
energy drink homework.
Well, there's something to be said for the coffee break too, and especially if you're at a site with multiple teams, taking a break sometime on Saturday and going to the communal food area and chatting up other teams, and maybe even cross-pollinating playtesting your projects. Not only does that help extend your networking and your community building outside of the people you're working with, but also it's a great way to sort of get fresh eyes on what you're doing and share, fresh eyes for your other team members. And so going to the coffee bar or like taking a food break and just chatting about what you're working on, and then maybe exchanging playtests, I think is super helpful if you're at a bigger site.
Yeah. I was just about to say playtest.
Oh yeah.
If you're going to take a break, it's a great opportunity to give somebody the game and be like, hey, can you help with these, find any bugs? And it's allowing that opportunity to like give it space for your game to breathe, so you can be able to improve upon it.
And to meet people at your site too, because I think we're a lot of stuff we're talking about your project, your game, what you're building, your game. But really, when I talk to a lot of folks who've been jammers, especially over the years, they won't necessarily remember what their game was, or they have a vague idea of it, but they will remember with their team and the people they met. And this is where I connected with so, and this is where I met the person that made this intro for me. And so I think you're going to create your game, and you're going to make a game and build a game with a team. But taking that time to also realize that a lot of the goal and part of the jam here is that personal connection, and to be able to create community and be able to meet people. I think that's a really big part of it too. And sometimes you get so focused on like, oh, we've got it, we're doing this. And like I said, taking that time, if it's at the food table or the coffee breaks or through playtesting, and also getting to know the other jammers, I think that's part of really the magic of what we're creating here too.
Yeah, because they're all people that's in your community. Like it's the people, could be your neighbors. You just have no idea that they have the same interests as you. So it could really, and has made really long lasting relationships and connections just from a simple 48-hour game jam period. It's pretty magical.
we launched an indie studio supporter program this past summer for ways that we can support indies, basically a small membership program. And when we asked people like, why did you apply? Tell us a little bit about your studio. And one of them said, it started at the Global Game Jam. Little did I know, did the founders know that they would not only found a company, but meet their future spouse, right? And so, it's one of those where, they ended up both, their team member, they ended up both marrying them and founding a studio with them. So you never know what will come out of it. But, yeah.
I'm sensing a GGJ reality TV show. I'm sensing if it's good enough for Harry and Meghan, it's good enough for us. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Someone else had told me they met their best man was one of the people from their first jam team. So it is, ways that you're connecting with people in ways that you may never even think about.
Yeah.
I think just to bookend that nicely, I think a big piece of advice I would give if you're hosting a site, a lot of the things that we've literally just been speaking about in the last minute or two are vitally important. So one of the challenges then as a site organizer is to think a little bit about the folks, the people that are going to be there, and how you facilitate this kind of community spirit, this cross-pollination. So make sure that if you're providing snacks and things like that, that you think a little bit about like where that needs to be and how you might go about doing that, and make sure that you think about the structure of your jam. So make sure that you include things like after the theme announcement, you focus a little bit of energy on team formation and brainstorming. And don't forget, if your site is open to the public, for example, and there may be people there that nobody knows and they don't know anyone else, that team formation process is really important, because that can help or hinder somebody's first experiences at a jam, and it could really put them off attending in the future if they kind of don't find their way into a team. So helping with all of this stuff is really important, and it helps build your community. So if you're hosting a site, have a think about how you facilitate this community spirit, because it's not just about the games. The games are a byproduct of the people that are making them, right? So you've got to focus on that.
Absolutely. Games are made by people, and the jam is a conduit for that, collaboration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really wonderful way to end the stream. I know we had sectioned off about an hour for this, and we'll be posting the video on YouTube for everybody to review, as well as you'll be able to watch the stream in its entirety on YouTube as well. Thank you everyone for being here. Maria, Rich, Sabrina, I really appreciate you guys taking your time out of your day to join me on this theme reveal. I had a really great time, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of this. Really, it's only the beginning of this week, and we'll see on Sunday what everybody's creations will be.
Absolutely. And Jess and Maria, awesome job with this year's Global Game Jam. Truly, you guys are amazing. And I'll mention Tarja and Zane too, our other staff members, the rest of our EC committee. I'm very excited for the jam.
Me too.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Well, wherever you are in the world, happy time zones, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday or Monday or whenever you're watching this for years to come. All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.